I have to say this before I forget. I'll probably end up saying it on air too, but like, I'm obsessed with you because of this one thing. It is so hard to do this. People think it's easy, but it's really hard. Even if you don't care, even if you're not, gun shy, which I'm not, but like the prep and the discussion, it's really hard. You take it to a whole nother level. Like you're interacting sometimes, you're talking to people off camera sometimes, you're engaging with products. Like to be able to do that in such a way that comes off authentic and real is unheard of. And like you nail it. So good for you.
Okay, you just made my day. It's a good way to start the call. No, honestly, I appreciate it because there's so much that goes into it. And it's like, if you've never done on-air work before, people have no idea. It's like, it's a lot. And then I'm sitting there, I've got to, Jazz is like there, helping to like run the scene, but I'm still having to have all eyes on everything that's going on out there and try to pay attention and all the stuff. So it's
So
like,
true. So
and
true.
then when I first started doing it, I was live broadcasting from my bathroom in 2020. So I'm trying to read the chat, be the person, do the stuff on my face all by myself. And like, so at least now we have a team and it's like a lot easier on me than it used to be. But
Hello, I'm Mike Ryan. I'm the Chief Networking Officer at PIMS, and welcome to our second season of Minutes with Mike. Now in my 33rd year at PIMS, I've had the privilege of partnering with companies both large and small, supporting their PR and marketing through customized fulfillment and distribution that delivers measurable impact on their brand perception, boosts positive affinity, and fuels their overall brand performance. And throughout my career, I've had the chance to work alongside many talented folks. This is their story. On this show, we'll sit down with some of the world's top marketing and business thought leaders to learn more about their success, how they got there, how marketing helped them achieve their goals, what strategies they used, and what inspires them. Please join me on this journey as we learn from those who are changing the way we think about business. So sit back, enjoy. You're listening to Minutes with Mike. So welcome everybody to Minutes with Mike. I'm Mike Ryan, the Chief Networking Officer over here at PIMS. And today we have our wonderful guest, Caroline Walker. Caroline, welcome to the show.
oh my gosh, I've been so looking forward to this and to meeting your community. So thanks for having me today.
Caroline is the global brand ambassador over at Philosophy and the founder of MBS Wellness. We're going to dive into both of those. So thank you again for joining us. Let's just jump right in.
Go for it.
We start every story with the start of the story. And I'm dying to know and ask you the question, like, how did it start? How did beauty, the whole world of this start for you? Like, what was day one? Where did you come from? Where were you looking to go? How did it all begin?
Okay, this is a very intense question. Actually thinking about it now, it really started for me back when I was a child. I was actually in high school and at 14 years old, I was like, I'm going to stay young forever. So I took myself to the drugstore and I bought the best skincare I could buy, which then gave me a chemical burn on my skin because I used the absolute wrong things for a 14-year-old at the time. But from there, I just always had this love of beauty. And when I graduated from the University of Tennessee, I had been interviewing all semester long. I hadn't found what I wanted to do yet. And there was an opening at a cosmetic counter, a skincare counter at the big department store in town in Knoxville, Tennessee. And so I actually started there behind the counter and I was going to stay for 5 minutes. Of course, it's been a lifetime. And I've just, honestly, I've loved the industry and I love what I do, but
the title of a brand ambassador, although I'm the Chief Networking Officer, I always consider myself the PIMS brand ambassador for similar reasons, right? Like, so when I started here in 1989, again, I was going to work here for 5 minutes. They were going to pay me $14,000, which was a ton of cash. And I'm like, I'll do it for 2 seconds. And then you grow into the role and the role grows around you. So I feel what you're saying. I see we're in your yoga studio today. We're going to talk to you about all that, but like, how did your personal values around wellness and care influence your approach to the whole brand marketing thing? Like, how did the two sort of connect?
It's so interesting that you asked that. And y'all, thank you for being in my home today. Welcome to my yoga studio. I'm a big time meditator, yoga, holistic nutritionist. I love all this stuff. So thanks for letting me just sit on my yoga mat here in my yoga pants. And I'm very casual today because it's how I roll. But I will say this, it's interesting. I was with this skincare brand for like 8 years. And there came a point in my life, it was a sensitive time in my life, not to get like heavy on y'all here, but my father was passing away. And the night that he died, I was in the hospice area with the nurse. I was the only one there because I was giving everybody a break, so I was alone with him. And the nurse on duty sat there and she coached me through how to watch my father die. And in that moment, it was so profound to me. It was like a visceral reaction where I was like, I teach people how to sell lipstick. I have to change what I'm doing. Like this woman just coached me on how to watch my father die. I have to have more depth in what I'm doing. And in the world of beauty, in the world of cosmetics, everything I did, the brands that I'd worked for, I always tried to bring in like a deeper moment into trainings and things like that. But in that moment, I was like, I'm done. I'm going to nonprofit, which was originally I studied PR, public relations in college. I was like, I'm going back to that. So, I looked and I looked, and about a year later, I hadn't found, the thing that I wanted to do yet. And the company that I was with at the time announced it was closing. And I was like, that's it. Good. I'm going to be forced out of this industry. I'm doing something else. And as however you want to call it, fate, whatever you want to call it, help from the other side. As it turns out, the woman who had been my boss at the company that was closing was going to this brand called Philosophy. And at the time, I didn't know anything about the brand Philosophy. I was working at, I was visiting that day to one of the stores that was down the street from a Sephora, and she was like, Liz Cavalieri. She's like, Caroline, go check it out. So I go down to the Sephora and I check out this brand Philosophy. And as soon as I saw the children's imaging on the packaging, as soon as I read that there were philosophies on every single product and there was such depth and such meaning, I felt like it was honestly like a gift from my dad. And that's why I've been with this brand for 15 years, because everything that I love in terms of wellness and like cultivating beauty from the inside out, which is what had really kept me there, I was able to actually like bring into this brand in a very different way, in a much more deep and profound way. So she actually aligned a territory for me. I lived in upstate New York at the time. She's like, if you will come to us, I'm going to align a territory. It'll be upstate New York, Eastern Canada, and you'll come and run the market there. And so I started with Philosophy 15 years ago, and it's just been a very interesting journey, because every single seminar, for example, that I teach, if I were to go and visit a group of individuals, whatever market they're in, there's always a lifestyle factor where I get to teach things like breath work. I get to teach things like the importance of stretching. I get to teach things like, when you're putting on your hand cream or you're cleansing your skin, take a moment to check in with yourself from within. So not to go on like too much, it was like meant for me to be at this brand for as long as I have. I really did feel like it was a gift in my life, because I could take what I'm truly drawn to and my passion, which is just helping people to tap into the greater essence of who they are, and just use skincare as a platform for that. Teach them how to take care of our skin. We have to take care of our skin. Like everyone's going to cleanse their skin, I hope. Everyone's going to take a bath or shower, I hope. We get to bring those products to them, but we do it in a way that's like so beautiful to me.
It's funny because my wife's a elementary school teacher, and I'm 58 years old, and so is she. We're talking, our big conversation is about retirement. When's this going to happen? When's that going to happen? I love my job. She loves her job. But I always say to her too, I'm like, of course my job's important and what we do is very important and great, but what you do changes lives. Like I can tell you right now, the name of every teacher I've had from kindergarten through college, right? Because they've made a difference, because they've touched you here, and in all sorts of ways, right? Making that difference, that type of connection, if you can bring that to your livelihood in some way, it makes all the difference in the world.
Well, I can tag on that. First of all, tell your wife she has my dream career. I was originally going to be an elementary school teacher. And again, it's interesting how life always brings things around. I was at UT. I changed my major like 3 times. I'd started out in elementary ed and ended up graduating in PR. And by the time I graduated, I was like, I'm at my 4 years. I'm done. I got to get out of here. So I didn't go back to study elementary ed, because I was like, I know that's really what my path was. It's so interesting. Every job I've had in cosmetics and with Philosophy for 15 years, everything I do is centered around educating. So it's like, I feel like life has also come around for me. I have a gift for education. Like that's my thing. Everyone has their gifts. Your wife has her gifts, educating kids. You have your gift networking and doing what you do and bringing your brand to life. But at the end of the day, it's like I think that there's many opportunities for people to always find ways to bring about their gifts. But I want to tag on something else that you said there. And that is something that's like fundamental to what I believe in business, is that business is not just about business. It is about connections. It's about relationships. It's about helping other people's lives to be better because you were there on their path, whether you're helping someone to get what they need to get out of their career or you're needing something from others. Like everyone that we meet in business and in life, it's kind of like, I think of it as a revolving door. You will have some people who come into your life in your career. They'll be with you for 5 minutes. You will have people that literally, I have people I met early in my career and we are friends for life. No matter where you're at in business, no matter who you're working with, give to everyone and receive from everyone. It's like this beautiful process of it's not just about selling. If we're, for me, I'm in a world of selling skincare, if you have to really break it down, but it's not about selling skincare. It's literally about looking at business in a way of how am I creating value, number one, for the consumer in their life? How do I actually make their life better? Can I help for them to learn to take something like cleansing their skin and make it a moment where they actually are checking in with themselves and having a mindful, like beautiful holding space for themselves? When I'm working in the offices, are there, young girls in my path I can help them to mentor them? Are there, who is it that I'm working with I can just make their day a little bit better? It's almost like for me, business is more of a platform. It's not about necessarily the product that I'm selling. Thank goodness I'm obsessed with the brand and I love where I am. But at the end of the day, it's about so much more than a particular brand. Like for me at Philosophy, we support mental health. And that has been a big part of why I've been here for so long as well, because it's not just about business. It's about how do we take the money that we, bring in as a brand, how do we take a portion of that and actually give to mental health? And to date, Philosophy has actually been able to donate $6.7 million to mental health.
It's great.
And you know what? It's so meaningful to me because I actually get to run. It's called the Hope and Grace Mental Health Initiative, and I get to really take that on for the brand. And I've met some of the people that we've given grants to, and when you put faces behind the dollars, it brings such meaning and purpose to what I'm doing every single day with the brand. And just, it's interesting. Like when 2020 hit, I was like, I'm going to get my meditation certification. Then I got my yoga certification. And then I got my holistic nutrition certification. I was like, I just want to spend every minute of every day somehow, like if I can enrich myself, like learn some things that I can then pass back to others. Like there's something about all of this. It's not just about like, how can we make our sales plans, y'all? If you focus first, I heard this years ago, as our focus is really first on the consumer and how we're serving them, the sales plans and all that, they're going to follow you. And I found that, like, in my career, it's been, I was on the sales side when I first started in cosmetics and then education. Now I'm the global brand ambassador. At the end of the day, I've always focused on the human being first. And I've always had like number one sales, like the sales have always followed. I've always been successful. And it's not because I was looking for that dollars, because I just want to help people. And that's, I think, like the point of business.
If this is the first time you're hearing from Caroline Walker, you're missing out, right? Like, let me just, I made some notes as I was completely diving into your world, right? Like you are, as you mentioned, the co-lead of the Hope and Grace Mental Health Initiative. You're the chair of the Mental Health Wellness Committee at Coty. You also term this phrase that I almost want to like write it down and put it on my wall somewhere, but wellness for your skin and your soul. Like, I found that and I read it and I was like, oh, I want to ask her about that. And then I read it again. I was like, that is exactly what you're talking about. Like, again, merging your product offering and what Philosophy brings to the table with everything else you're talking about
Well,
is marketing in a whole different world.
it is. And, you bring up something that goes along with that. And that is the whole like mental health and wellness committee to kind of like bring all this around. We work for the brand that I am with. Philosophy is owned by Coty. So Coty's our parent company and they are a massive beauty powerhouse. We have 3 floors at the Empire State Building, and I just recognized a real need to help our teams to be able to have moments for de-stressing and for connecting within in the middle of the day, and to have moments of time out. And this is with any company. I believe this should be, anywhere, because we have amazing people that we work with. It's important that we see each other as human beings first and as employees second. And so our senior leadership at Coty has been so supportive to me to be able to create this in our culture where I hold sound baths for our teams where they get to come in. I keep them so short, Mike. I'm like, nobody has time for a big hour sound bath in the middle of the day. But if I can hold it for 15 minutes, we have a Philosophy Skin Academy that we've built out, which is a whole nother thing. But I hold space for them and I do a 15 to 20-minute sound bath where I turn on nature sounds. And I have actually, I don't know if you can see in my yoga room here in the corner, these are my sound bowls that I have, but I have them in the office too. I have a whole nother set in the office. So I just have my bowls out. I have like my little chimes and different things. And I just let people sit there we breathe deeply, and we just use sounds as a focal point to just drop below the stress of the mind and back into the present moment and just connect with ourselves so that, if things are stressful at work, which in any business it gets stressful, if, something went wrong with the boss or a coworker said something that upset you, we reconnect with our core so we can really go from a place of, reacting to what's happening in the moment to more being able to respond in a more calm and centered way. And also just for creativity. I mean, there are studies coming out now showing that when we can drop below the stress, we actually can tap into our creativity center. So I think like the most creative things I've ever created at work, like in 2020, we couldn't teach seminars anymore. I used to bring people in all the markets across the US, bring them to hotels, and we would teach seminars and do an 8-hour seminar. Well, that stuff ended in 2020 and it's never really come back to the length that it was. And I was like, I'm so sick and tired of bringing our teams on Zoom calls, which I love Zoom. But I was like, we need something
I
a little
know.
more than this. And so I created the Hope and Grace Show. And I'll tell you about it quickly, but I got it from meditation. I'm a big, like, I like to meditate in the morning and quiet my mind. And then I went on my bike ride. And because I'd had all this quiet time and I'm on my bike ride, it just like was a download. It's like, I'm gonna make a Hope and Grace show. And I actually found a studio in Atlanta, Laserstream Studios. I love them. I could give anybody a reference if you need a studio out of Atlanta, but Mike and his team are incredible. And we created this whole dynamic show where I brought in different members of our teams, and it was like a talk show, and it was fabulous. And it was I really grant that from me being able to take the quiet time to be able to get those creative ideas flowing, to then be able to bring something that really has served our teams like next level. And so I think to bring it all around, I think that's why it's important that when we, look around the offices, we look around at our colleagues and we look about what kind of culture are we creating? Are we creating a culture where people really do feel safe to be able to come and spend a few minutes just breathing, or like we do yoga, we're going to be doing more yoga in the fall, but like, do they feel comfortable to be able to come and do that for a few minutes and take a time out for themselves? It's important, I think, in business that we're creating cultures that allow for that so that then when we go back to our desk and back to our meetings, we're actually a lot more creative.
I love where this is going. I was watching your live streams in the Skin Academy, and she is so good about, certainly marketing and the market placement of the products, but just the flow of the conversation that goes. I was blown away by, you have guests, including a doctor who I wrote this down was skincare director. I forget the title.
Communications director, Dr. Florente. He's my buddy. He's our communications director for science. He's amazing.
He's fabulous. And the interaction between the two of you is wonderful and fantastic. But just the amount of content that you get to and be able to do that while live streaming, while toggling back and forth between people behind the camera, and you like sort of jockey it to another person who's in the room that give you some feedback on the content that's coming through. And it's just, for somebody that speaks for a living and does podcasting and communicating for 35 years, I was like, this is the one. So well done. Kudos to you.
And that, it means so much to me. And I'm not going to take any credit for it because my dad he was a country music singer. He was big in like the 1950s and 60s. He was a member of the Grand Ole Opry. But before all that, he was in the Disc Jockey Hall of Fame. So it's like, I feel like I got a broadcast, like kind of like a communication thing from my father. So I always like to give him credit for anything good that I do in terms of any of that. I really appreciate it. I think I grew up with a love for just like connecting with people. Like I just got that from my dad and my mom as well. Like I think it's important. I think it's a lot of like what life's about. So I appreciate that you share that, because I think that, when we do things like create a live stream, like for me, it's not about selling the product. It's literally about, I want to bring our people together in community. Let's talk, let's have conversations. And you got to show up as how you are. If you're overly scripted, then it's not going to be an authentic moment. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, you also have to give. I feel like with these things, I appreciate what you said so much, because I'm like, I don't overly script it. I'm overly prepared for sure, but I love to just leave space for what the energy brings, because you don't know what the community is going to show up with that day. And if you're overly scripted and you're like, okay, we're going to ask this question and then this, and it's only going to be this, then it's like, there's not room for that flow to happen. And that's when the magic happens.
You absolutely nail it. And, I wanted to ask you about this because you had mentioned it to me earlier too, but I also read about it that this live stream started in your bathroom in 2020. You were like applying makeup or something. And like, tell me how that, what was that journey like from where it was? Because if you haven't watched it too, one of the other cool things that I noticed that I made a note about, I wanted to ask was, not only is there interaction live, but you're also interacting with the audience, right? And there's this one cool part where you do giveaways and has a sort of a scrolling. That's really neat too. So tell me how that, where did that start and where did it come from? The bathroom to now.
Well, first of all, I have to tell you, like we use Firework as the platform that we use for live streaming. And so their platform allows for the giveaways and fun stuff. And I have to give them a shout out because I just love them so much. But Spencer, our buddy there, but it's funny because in 2020, in like April, my husband and I went down to Nashville, where I'm from, and we actually did our stay at home from there for like 6 weeks. It was wild because during that time, so this is like the end of March, early April, when it was like really scary up here in New York, especially. I felt like it was scary everywhere, but especially here, we're going down south. We had to hide out our tags, our New York tags, my husband's car. We had to hide it in my mother's garage. My mom let us quarantine for 2 weeks. We went and stayed at a friend's house. We quarantined at her place. And then finally she could come back after 2 weeks and we had quarantine, but we were just laughing. But anyhow, so, as a company, we came together, we're like, we have got to do something to reach out to our community. So we didn't know how to live stream on Instagram. We were like, all of us were all like, okay, how do we do this? Reading tutorials on how to go live on Instagram. So I did my first live stream out of my mother's bathroom with my little philosophy products. And I was so nervous. I had done QVC for like, a couple of years. And so I definitely done broadcasting, but none of us had ever gone live. So the first time I hit that, play button on go live, I was so nervous.
You're
I'm
right.
sitting there trying to do the products and like wipe it off and be live and normal. And it was such a learning. And it's so amazing to see like where we are now, where I've gone from, doing those live streams out of my mom's bathroom for 6 weeks and then to my own bathroom, back in New York when we came back. And then to now see that we've actually in the last year, a little over a year ago, we built out this Philosophy Skin Academy in the Empire State Building, where we bring in influencers, VIPs to the brand. We bring in investors. We bring in our community. It is not like our consumer community yet, but like our field team community. We are doing so much out of this space as a content studio to now be able to have a team that I'm not there by myself trying to read the chat, put on the product, do all the things. Actually, we have a team that's there. It would not be possible without them. The quality and what we're being able to bring together is because now we actually have a team. So it's like, from those humble beginnings in my bathroom, where I'm just by myself doing the best I can, to now see these beautiful productions that come out where we're just really connecting with our philosophy family. It gives me goosebumps to think about. And just the fact that we have the academy to begin with, because a year, before that, I came to our offices and I was like, I had this vision. I was like, I want to really connect with our community. I want to go live on our D2C, our philosophy.com. Because, everyone goes live on like Instagram and TikTok, and obviously we do that as well. But I was like, our core consumer, our most loyal consumers, if somebody's shopping for us at philosophy.com, those are your loyalists. I want to talk to them. Now we need to get the new consumer as well, but I want to love on our people. So I was like, we need to go live on philosophy.com. So I'm looking around, I'm shopping around our 3 floors at the Empire State Building. And I'm like, there's really nowhere that I really want to broadcast from. So they gave me this, we had a VIP room where our CEO comes when she's in town, and they let me use that. And so we built that out and it was nice. But in comes, the right people that were like, we're going to actually build out a Philosophy Skin Academy here in the Empire State Building. And it literally, I was like, I think I manifested this. I've been shopping for so long for a studio here in the Empire State Building. And I'm like, then come the right people who helped to make this happen. And now we have a professional studio. We bring in a videographer. Like, it's so next level from where we started.
It's awesome. How do you decide, like, I'm curious, topic wise and product wise, like what's the planning? Like, who decides how the decision work that we're going to focus on this product, and then the topics, I can just tell, and everybody else can tell, just sort of by the way that you connect with these folks and converse with them, that a lot of it is just, here's going to be our topic. Let's just talk about it and see how it works. How do you decide what those are going to be? Like,
So
you're not reading from any script, obviously. It's just boom.
Right. So I look at our marketing calendar. I look at, okay, what is launching? So for example, Thursday of next week, we have just launched a brand new body mist. So I have a whole live stream coming up on Thursday where I'm bringing on a neuroscientist, and we're going to really get into the science of scent, and we're going to really teach our community about these 3 mists that have just launched. So I look at the calendar. If there's not a launch, like the last one that we did last month was on like travel skincare. I'm like, it's July. Everyone's traveling. I just got back from Italy. I want to come on. I want to show people what it is that I actually used when I was over there in Italy. And Dr. Florente showed what he used. He was just in the countryside. So it's like I look at, what's happening where we have launches, and then I look at what time of year is it? Is it, during May, we really want to have a special focus on mental health because that's Mental Health Awareness Month. Coming up in October, you're going to see we're going to have a special segment on mental health for Mental Health Awareness Day. Like there's a lot that goes into it, but I basically just look at the calendar and I'm like, okay, what's going to make the most sense for our community? And then of course, I have a team, I run everything by. I'm like, what do we all think about this? And then we just take it from there. And then I look at, okay, so if we're going to do travel skincare, we have a 30-minute segment for products. I'm going to have at least 10 to 15 minutes for mental health. Here's how I'm going to break it down. So it's kind of like, I prepare, like these are some of the key things that I want to make sure we get across, but I want to leave that space open for the community to ask questions. And if they want to ask about a random product, let's do it. The other day I did a QVC live stream with Dr. Florente from the Academy, and people were asking about, you know, all kinds of different products that we weren't talking about that day. But that's the fun of it. Then we get to roll with those and kind of just let the community take it where they want to go as well. So
You
did that
know,
answer your question?
yes, no, it was great. And, you mentioned the word community a few times, and I use that a lot too on the show. I feel like that's changed a lot too. And, the years that I've been here, there was a time in our industry where everything was close to the vest, right? Nobody shared secrets. Nobody shared the good things. Certainly, no one ever talked about the bad things. It was all very sort of held within the four walls of your office. That is completely changed now. Like everybody that is anybody it has no problem whatsoever sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly and helping others at competitors and other brands and other companies to do their thing better because of what you're talking about, like just through mental health awareness and making sure that everybody, you know, everybody wants to succeed and everybody wants to make money. But in the end, we're living our life here, right? So you want to do it in such a way that you can feel good about what you're doing. Going back to that whole teacher thing again, right? Like every day is not easy, but if you can make the smallest difference in somebody's world as you move along, doesn't that make the whole difference, right? So I just kind of wanted to get your take on, the community with philosophy and you as far as like the whole content world too. Like I know you have interaction a lot with your viewers. Talk to me a little bit about the creators out there that have, again, in the last 10 years come from nowhere and are reestablishing themselves as almost the new brands now. What is your feeling on creators?
Can I back up to something else that you said that I really want to touch on? And that is about people being more open now than they have been in the past. And this will lead to creators as well, because, you know, for example, like when we started the Hope and Grace Mental Health Initiative, it was 2014. And we were like, we live in the space of beauty. We need to take on mental health because the beauty industry, if not done well, can create more problems with women's self-esteem than anything else out there. And so we have to make sure we're doing beauty in a beautiful way where it's beauty from the inside out and we are helping people to feel good, whatever phase they're in life, and not make everyone feel like they need to look like they're 20 years old again. But at the end of the day, when we first started the mental health initiative, it was a topic nobody wanted to talk about in 2014. It was like shoved under the rug. No one wanted to discuss it. And 2020 cracked people open. My observation is that it cracked people open in a way they hadn't been open before. And I think that that was what really led to a lot of, what you see now with people being more open and honest about how they're feeling. I deal with every day I'm working with creators and I love our creator community. And the creators that I love to work with are the ones that, they don't have to give up all their, all the things that are going on. But at the end of the day, it's like they're authentic. And you know what? If they're having a rough day, it's okay to say that. And it's like, I think that too much of social media has turned into like, it's so curated and everything's perfect. And it's like, I was in an event. We do these influencer events in different markets, and I was talking to this one young woman in her early 20s, and she was so beautiful. She's almost painful to look at. I mean, just so stunning and so lovely and so sweet and just smart. And in conversation with her, I was just talking to her one on one, and I had done a presentation on mental health, and she was like, "I just want you to know," she was like, "I there was a period in my life where I wanted to commit suicide." She had no self-esteem at that time of her life, and just all of the different things that she was telling me, I was like, "This is wild," because you see this woman on social media, you would never know this about her. But she was getting to a point in her career where she was like, "I'm about to open up about it." She hadn't been willing to do it yet. She was like, I'm I'm about to be at that point where I'm really going to kind of open up and help to guide people through this if they're experiencing the same thing. Because something, and I've seen this a lot where it's like some of the influencers that I've gotten really close to, they appear one way. And when you find out what's really going on in their lives, it's not always that. And that's people in general. It's like I always used to love to coach when I worked in the stores all the time, like coaching our teams. If we do not know what people are going through when they walk through those
Hmm.
doors. Like we don't know. I could tell you more stories about consumer interactions where I'm like, I mean, just when we do events, you meet so many different people from different walks of life and like what they're going through and experiencing. And they're just coming for a little break from it all. Half the time they just want to have a little bit of an escape from it and just kind of drop below their worry and their stress, have a moment that's fun with some self care to be able to then go back and deal with what they're dealing in. So I hope that answers your question, but it's kind of like, I think about it. You made me want to kind of talk about how people are more open now. You mentioned that. And then when it comes to creators, I love when we really focus on creators that are authentic and like aren't overly curated, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that authenticity, it comes through too. Like, certainly everybody strives for their products to be authentic, but when you know, and again, kudos to you when you're able to do it during these live streams where you're not only talking about it and the ingredients and everything behind the scenes, but you have actually people that are putting it on and all the stuff that you do with the products themselves adds to that authenticity so that when it touches somebody in such a way that it's beyond a price tag, beyond what you're using as a spray, a jar, that forget all that stuff. It's about how the product or the brand is touching them personally. And from that, you have long-term consumers, right? The consumers turn into long-time partners.
And two things on that. So first of all, I have to give a shout out. We have a whole team that selects the influencers that we work with. So they spend a lot of time pouring through influencer content to make sure that they are selecting influencers who really align with our brand messaging and who are going to deliver very positive mental health messaging for our community as well. So I want to give them the credit for that because I don't work in, picking out the influencers. I get to work with them once they're selected. Uh, my job. And that's a lot of fun to get to bring that out for them. And then you said something else I want to come back to. Philosophy does have a super high loyalty as a brand, but it's to me, it's because we understand, like I know when I'm in the bathroom and I'm getting ready, it's some of the only minutes I have alone every day. I'm not talking, I'm quiet, no one's pulling at me. These are moments for big time self-reflection. You're looking at yourself in the mirror, you're vulnerable. Like it can be a moment where like you're brushing your teeth, you're washing your face, washing your hands, whatever you're doing, taking a bath, shower. It can be on autopilot. And one of my favorite teachers, his name is John Kabat-Zinn. He's like the father of bringing mindfulness meditation from the East to the West. They call him, like in the 1970s. He brought it into the medical healthcare system. He said something so profound. He says it a lot. It's, when you're in the bath or shower, are you actually in the bath or shower? Or did you bring your meeting at 10 a.m. into that shower with you? Did you bring the past, a whole bunch of people up in that shower with you? When you're cooking dinner, are you there chopping your vegetables? Or is your mind just completely somewhere else? And I've really taken that to heart because I feel like, when we're in our skincare routine, yes, I love skincare and I love our industry, but I'm not there for the skincare. I'm there because I know that this is a very vulnerable place for women specifically and men as well. And if I can be there with them to help to teach them, when you're taking a bath, I want you to actually feel the bubbles, bring your mind to the bubbles, bring all your senses to the bubbles, bring your eyes, your sense of smell. What are you hearing with the water? Like be in that moment. It's a very easy way to take something that is routine and actually turn it into something that can actually be a real connection with themselves. We all kind of need vehicles, however it works for you, but we all need vehicles to drop below the mind because the mind just naturally wants to ruminate and it wants to go in a million different directions. It never wants to really be in the present moment. It always wants to be somewhere in the future or something we're worrying about or something that happened in the past. And it's like, to me, the whole reason I've stayed in skincare is because I love that this is a vehicle to teach people. Every time I wash my hands in the middle of the day, I check in with myself. What are you thinking about right now? Because have you heard, her name is Elissa Epple. She is one of the top stress researchers across the globe. She's with UCSF and she's been studying stress for 30 years. And I love her book is called The Stress Prescription. And I just love listening to her. But she poses this question. She's like, okay, what is the number one thing that stresses humans out? She studied stress for 30 years. What's the number one thing that stresses out humans? You want to take a guess?
Tell me.
There's no right or wrong answer, but for her,
Uh,
the number one thing that stresses out humans is the thoughts that we think.
I, 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 I don't want to say that that's what I was going to say, but that's what I was going to say. I just didn't want to embarrass
I shouldn't
myself.
even let you say it. But at the end of the day, a lot of people will say finances or relationships or whatever it is, but it's the thoughts about those things that's
Yeah.
actually through
Yeah.
her research, that is what really stresses people out. So then the next question becomes, okay, so if we know that our thoughts that we're thinking about life in general are what are really stressing us out, what do we do about it? When our mind is ruminating and it's very hard to get your mind to stop ruminating
Yeah.
when something tragic's happened or something just every day has happened, what do you do? She's like, the number one thing is awareness to your thoughts is the number one way to pop yourself out of that. And so I've really taken that with me in my career because, and that's again why, I did my meditation studies and all these things because I'm like, if I can just teach people how to actually bring awareness to their thoughts and do a check in when they are in their skincare routine, because we're all going to do our, take a bath or shower. Can I teach people how to check in with themselves? Like ask themselves, okay, Caroline, what are you thinking about right now? And are the thoughts that you're thinking about, are they actually serving you well? Or do we need to create a shift here? Do I need to number one call someone and get some help? I always want to make that very clear. Sometimes you'll do a self check in with yourself and you need to reach out to a loved one or to a professional to get some help.
Yeah.
There are other times where, it's just your everyday stuff and it's kind of like, okay, I need to kind of like shift here and change the direction of my thoughts. But the beginning of all of it, the beginning of our mental health journey is really checking in with ourselves. That to me, just conscious awareness of what's even going on out there is everything. And so I feel like I could almost do this with any industry. Skincare is very easy because people are going to do skincare anyways. I like to help them to make it more meaningful. But at the end of the day, this is why I bring in things like sound bath and meditation, and I have a mental health book club and all the things that we do. It's like, I just want to help people to have a moment where they get to drop below stressful things and just kind of come in connection with themselves to then go back out in the world. Like you're in your bath or shower, you're getting ready. Well, by the time you leave your bathroom, hopefully you've had a moment of connection with yourself. You can show up differently for everyone else around you, you know?
It ties in with just about everything that I'm thinking about. Like as I'm thinking the questions that I want to ask you, your responses are answering my questions already because it really that whole mind body thing ties into just about everything we do, including technology. Because I did want to ask you about technology and this wellness space is really in the here and now, but technology is a part of our life, right? And some people get stressed out and freak out about that. The whole chat GPT and AI, how's it going to affect me? How's it going to, is it going to take my job? Is it going to make my job better? Is it going to make us easier? What are your thoughts on these new technologies, the diagnostics and, are you exploring any of them? Do you use them in your world? Like, how do they interact with you?
It's so funny. I've only started looking at like chat GPT over the last couple weeks and kind of like looking at it because at the end of the day, I think we can't avoid it. And I think that, if people are worried about their jobs, it's probably a better idea to kind of get acquainted with it and figure out, is there a way to utilize these things that we benefit to the work that I do and to my community? I don't have an answer to that because I just now, to be very transparent, have just started even looking at it. But I don't think it's something we can put our head in the sand and ignore. And I think that there are definite benefits where, you can kind of, there are some things it'll save you a lot of time. So you get some time back to be more creative or to, whatever it is you need to do, spend more time with your family, whatever, when it comes to like tech in general, I think that when we speak about this in the wellness space, I read something so profound recently. I was doing some research for one of the live streams, the mental health portion, and I brought a new mom on the program, and her name is Daniela, and she has her sweet little baby. And I was like, how do you find this balance? We had a conversation about finding balance. Did
I
you
saw
see
that
it?
episode. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
great.
we're a little baby. There's the best episode. But we kind of had a conversation around how do you find balance between, your phone and actually like being present with your child. And one of the research studies that I read was they used the words absent presence and how cell phones have really helped for us to be able to connect with people across the globe, friends that we would have lost contact with, family that we don't live around. There are so many benefits to technology. I love my phone, okay? But at the end of the day, with everything in life, it's got to be in balance because this absent presence, where in the study they were talking about how we'll be at dinner with people and literally we're with human beings and yet we're still connecting with that
Yes.
other that's on the phone and we're absent even in the presence of those that we're with. And it's like, it really, stopped me in my tracks. Simon Sinek, I love him. He's a business thought leader, and he has the best thing that I love. He's like, when you're at dinner with your friends and you put your phone down and it's face down, so you're not seeing anything lighting up. He's like, the fact that your phone is even on your table
So
says
true.
to the people in front of you,
Yes.
this is still more important than you are. So I really have learned. I put my hand back. I mean, there are times like my husband and I would be at dinner and we're like, okay, you look this up. I'm going to look this up. And we will like every now and again be on our phones. But for the most part, we put our phones away. And it's like, I really try hard. I'm not perfect, but I'm like, I always remember him saying that. And I'm like, Simon has really saved me from having my phone out on the table at dinner.
Nothing will get a donkey kick quicker under a table from my wife than, if I ever pull up the phone while we're at dinner talking to somebody and whatever I'm doing, she says the
Oh,
same thing. Good life lesson too. Like, you know, if I go, I can do it, right? And it's okay. But if somebody does it to me, I'm like, did you see this person on the phone? All that shit. I wanted to talk to you about the yoga thing because I'm obsessed with this, and we just did a hot yoga here at Pims, and I don't know really even what that means, but I'm gonna let me throw that back at you. But I did want to ask you about TikTok Shop, right? So this is this new, platform or not so no platform. How does that sort of interact with your world as well?
very interesting that you asked that. We are not officially at Cody, our parent company. We're not officially on TikTok Shop. And they're researching that as to whether or not, we're going to do that or not. So that's a whole other conversation with a whole other team. However, we did a soft launch on TikTok, just not with TikTok Shop, like 2 falls ago. And the results were like amazing. But we aren't on TikTok Shop, but we did TikTok live streaming, and it was like an amazing way to engage with our community. So we're just kind of, that's being felt out. I didn't want to speak to it because it's not really like a thing I can speak to on air
Got
here
it.
today.
Cool.
But I do think that, let me just say, live stream shopping in general, whatever the platform that it is. I was just having a conversation with someone yesterday where it's like everyone has to get a hold of this. If you are in any kind of space, really, but at the end of the day, especially in sales, like this is something that's not going away.
Yes.
And brick and mortar's not going away either. At the end of the day, like who knows how things are going to go, but live stream selling to me, it is how you really, I am in the home with my consumers and I bring them into my home
Yep.
sometimes. So at
Yep.
the end of the day, it's like, that's how you get personal and up close with them. That is a way to build a relationship like no other. So I think that everyone needs to look at live stream shopping, whatever that looks like for you. And that's where for us, the priority has been let's get with our core consumer and give them love. And we are all over the get new consumers with social media as well. So
MBS Wellness, your website. Of course, I've looked at all that, and it's wonderful. But I wanted to ask you about, so at PIMS, we had a competition, and the winner got a session of hot yoga, and they invited a whole bunch of people. I did not go only because I can't picture myself quite doing hot yoga. Not sure what hot yoga is, but you sort of are my go-to for all this. Tell me what hot yoga is. Tell me what your site is. Talk to me about your commitment in that world. Go.
So let me say this. If you've never done yoga before, you might not want to start with hot yoga. Now, there will be other yoga instructors that might tell you otherwise. Okay. This is my thought on yoga. Yoga to me, and hot yoga, you're in a heated room and you're doing your yoga poses, basically. That's a very rough explanation of that. Yoga to me, though, should always meet you where you are. You should never try to meet yoga where it is. And so, like for me, for example, years ago, I had a back injury from working out. It caused nerve damage in my back. So it's like I actually have an injury in my calf that is a real, pain in my neck. But for me, I adjust the yoga poses to fit my body where it is. I've had a shoulder injury. Like I'm the most injured, healthy person that I know. But at the end of the day, it's like I think it's important for people to know you can be injured. You can have these, concerns and still use things like yoga in a realm that helps you and fits your life. So, I hear people say like, and when I was younger, it was the same thing. I tried yoga and it was like too hard. And now I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was probably doing an advanced level yoga class to just like start practicing yoga. And it's like, no, you want to start very basic and work your way up. And then again, I always want people to know, like, I have, yoga blocks everywhere. I literally live on these things. And what you do with these, when you're doing a pose, if your body does not want to touch its toes today, maybe yesterday you could touch your toes fine, and today your body's feeling a little stiff. I encourage people use your yoga blocks. Help your body. I'd have to do like a class to show you one of these days. We'll do it, but make modifications. And then start with where your body needs to start. I always feel like with yoga too, I like to do my own at home with myself, but at the end of the day, I'm like, my body always tells me what I need. So if you learn to tune into your body kind of will guide you. But if you've never done yoga before, it's very good to do it with an instructor, whether online or in person, and just really look at what you're signing up for. Don't even sign up for an intermediate. Go for a yoga for complete beginners and start there, because otherwise I've seen people in classes and I'm like, they are never going to show back up to yoga again because this is not the class for them.
Does
Right?
your husband do it?
I love that you asked this. My husband is a 6'5", like he is a manly man. And at first, I tried to get him to do yoga, and now he has like 5 or 6 poses. There's stretches. He has his yoga stretches. And I have a little routine for him, and he does it every day. Every
That's
time he works
great.
out, he does his stretching routine. Now, I have yet to get him on the ballet bar here. I have tried and tried. He won't stretch out on that, but I love stretching on the ballet bar. But the point is, like, he has a little routine that works for him. And now I feel good because I know he's stretching out the stress, because he has a job that's very stressful. And I want to make sure I'm helping to, bring him some practices that can help for him when he gets home to be able to alleviate that stress. Because, sometimes I've heard it said, like, things that are easy to do are also very easy not to do. And something like stretching is so easy to just like skip it because it just seems so simple. Stretching is the first thing I do when I wake up. My bedroom is over there. I come out of the bedroom and I come right here and I do a child's pose on the yoga mat first thing. And then, depending on the morning, I might do 4 or 5 poses. I might do 2 to 3 more poses. Just depends on whatever. And then I go up and I make my coffee and do my thing or tea. And it's kind of like, I don't feel like I always have to do an hour yoga class either. You can do a few yoga poses just to stretch your body and start there. And then, like, throughout the day, today I get to be working from home. So then, you know what? When I'm feeling some tension in my body, I'll come down, do a few more poses. I love to keep yoga mats out and about so that at any time I can drop down and do a pose. I have them in the Philosophy Skin Academy. So when you come and visit, I know y'all's offices are not that far. Come visit, I'll show you. We have yoga mats in the academy. You can just stretch at any moment that you need to. It's like, so back to your original question. Yes, my husband does have a little yoga routine. I think that people need to let yoga meet them where they are. I think we need to be very conscious that never start with an advanced level yoga class if you've never done yoga before, and just kind of think of it as, it's not about the yoga necessarily itself. It's your presence in the yoga class. It's your being with the stretching. There's an author, and I cannot think of her name right now, but she talks about this. She wrote a book on it about, it's not about the meditation. It's not about the yoga. It's not about the bubble bath or whatever. It's about what you bring to those things.
Mhm.
And I think yoga is the same thing. It's not about like having this practice. It's about what you bring to that mat. And it's about that connection with yourself and tuning into your body. Because your body is very wise and intelligent, and it will tell you, what you need. Things will come to you. It's not uncommon for people when they're doing, for example, yin yoga is a favorite kind of yoga of mine, where you just hold stretches for longer periods of time, like a couple minutes, depending on how long you want to hold them for. People at the end of a yin yoga class will be crying. It happens because you are literally, when you get into a pose where you're holding it for a while, you're releasing stress.
Mm.
Your body holds on to things like stress and past life experiences and traumatic experiences and traumatic relationship experiences. And something as simple as that can help to release it from your body. So it's something that I think it's a very important part of my personal life. I haven't always done yoga. I haven't always been a meditator, but these are things that have literally significantly changed the quality of my life.
I have a colleague that works here, and he touts everything you just said too about the overall mental relief it gives, and along with the body stress, it just sort of takes it's like swimming of the mind, right? Like it takes
Yes.
over every part of you and alleviates all this pressure. Plus, there's weight loss involved too. Like he wanted to lose a few pounds and help him sort of zen into that. So anytime I hear that, I'm always open. What is you mentioned it earlier, sound bath?
Yes. Okay. And that actually ties into what I was about to say. And that is, there's so many ways to kind of like connect within yourself, whether it's yoga, maybe it's taking a walk in nature. Like that is a big thing for me. I like to ride my bike in nature. I like to be outside. I like to, even when I'm in the city, like New York City, I love to, when I'm walking by the plants and flowers, just kind of touch them and just like be in touch with nature no matter where I'm at. But to your question, specifically sound baths, if y'all see these are my little crystal bowls. There are different ways that you can do it. But at the end of the day, sound baths I had my first one when I was living in Philly. I've lived all over for work. And I was living in Philly at the time. And my girlfriend, Elise, was like, let's go do a sound bath. She was, really into all this stuff. And I was just really starting to delve into it. And I was like, I don't even know what that is, but I love Elise. Sure, I'll go. So we go to the sound bath in Philly at a yoga studio, and I had no idea what to expect. So we get there. There's a guy like at the front of the studio, and he has all of his instruments around, different things like even a guitar, like all these instruments. Everyone pulls out their yoga mat and their blankets. They got these kind of blankets, and whatever. He says at the very beginning, he's like, write an intention at the top of your mat. I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to write something down. So I wrote something down. I laid on the mat, and then you just, if you're comfortable closing your eyes, you close your eyes. If not, find a focal point. But I close my eyes, and you're literally immersed in sound. And Mike, kid you not, by the very end of it, felt like my body was floating. I was like, I actually felt a download for myself where it was just like, this is very personal, but I felt like, Caroline, you are whole, exactly how you are. The hard things that have happened in life, you are whole, exactly how you are. It was like this beautiful message for myself. I'm crying.
That's
And I
awesome.
was like, "Please," I don't even know what just happened, but I've had this whole emotional release. And now I've studied it. And now I teach them. And I'm like, I hold space for them. And I'm like, your body's made up mostly of water. And when you look at the power of vibration and sound on water, and then you translate that into the human body, it is amazing how, think about like heavy rock and roll music, which, can be great. Like in certain circumstances, that's great. Think about classical music, think about country music, which I love to jam out to. Like different types of music, different types of lyrics, different types of harmonies, whatever, create different reactions in your body and they make you feel different ways. There's music that you want to work out to when you want to get a really hardcore workout. And then there's music you want to listen to when you want to like I always have spa music going in our home. Like my husband just, and now he loves it because it's just like so relaxing. But when you want a relaxing vibe, you're going to kind of tune things down a little bit, typically, whatever works for you. But the point is, music has a way to affect your body very profoundly. And so when I started to study it, and I started to study things like somatics, where you really look at the power of vibration and like, there's a lot out there, but the power of sound, I think, is something that's understudied. It takes a lot of money to research these things. It's not because there couldn't be scientific evidence for it. It's that it takes a lot of money to do these deep research
Yeah.
studies.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff is kind of anecdotal. Well, you go to a sound bath and you feel good. Well, there is actually, I can pretty much guarantee you there's science behind it. Just all the studies haven't been done. And at the end of the day, when I just want to like relax, I just come in here, I will do my little bowls for myself. And I love bringing this to my colleagues at work because I watch them when they come in. I could tell you stories for days, Mike. People are like, I had the worst migraine when I came in here, but I came anyways, and migraine's gone. People are crying at the end of sound baths, and we're in a business setting. And I'm like, I just want to hold space for you because, like, this one woman, she, had lost a beloved pet. And if you've ever had a furry friend, like
Hmm.
we remember, they're family members, like it's hard. We did a sound bath and she's like, Caroline, this is the first time since, 6 months ago that I've actually felt joy. She was like, just something happened when I was sitting here in the sound bath. She's like, I felt peace. And I felt joy again. And it was just like so emotional. And I'm just like, I love holding space for us because at the end of the day, we're human beings first. And if we tap into that full dimensionality of being a human being, then we're all better at work.
Right.
Then we can release some things like this if need be, and then be able to be better at our jobs. So it's like, it's a different way of looking at the world. I think it's a different way of looking at business. It's just a different way of looking at life. And I love it. I love like, I don't want to just not do anything. I don't want to just go sit on a beach all day long, go drink a margarita. Like I love having a platform to get out there and like be in it with people. Like I love when I do the sound bath. Like it honestly, I would love to be like corporate wellness full time is all I do. Sound baths, meditation, all that. And maybe one day. But there is something too when I've been on a really stressful call and I've been on like going live or I've been doing something that like puts my body in a want to be in fight or flight mode. Because every time you go on air, I mean, your body's and you're gonna have
Yeah.
some adrenaline, you're gonna have some stuff going on. I love going from that and everyone showing up to the academy. And I'm like, y'all, I've also just had a stressful call or just gone live. I need this as much as you do. And then like I'm in it with them. They know I'm just as stressed out as they are, and we're all coming together. And it's like, we've got this.
That's
And it's
awesome.
okay. We've calmed our bodies down. So we make sure that in the realm of business, we're doing business in a healthier way for ourselves. It's like we're making sure we're breathing, we're making sure we're getting up and like reminding each other to take walks. We're like doing a little sound baths or a little yoga. We're getting some movement in there. We don't want to be chained to our desks all day long.
I love it. And I know everybody else will too. What's the name of the website if people are interested?
It's mind, M-I-N-D, body, B-O-D-Y, sit, S-I-T, like mind, body, sit. I kind of like to think of it as like allowing your mind and your body to sit on your yoga mat, like relax, release, and kind of connect with your soul, kind of a thing. If you want to go on there, check it out. Obviously, I'm integrative skincare on Instagram. I don't do a ton of, I do a lot more stories than I do actual posts on my grid, but I do stories all the time. But you can check me out. It's like if you think of integrative medicine, but it's integrative skincare because I just think of all of this as like, it's not just about putting a cream on your skin. You're not going to put a cream on and be beautiful. At the end of the day, your beauty doesn't live in that. Your beauty lives in you're just naturally beautiful anyways from who you are as a human being. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like if you want to cultivate beauty, it's like how are we living our lives? It's like it's more than a cream. Drink some water, get some movement in our bodies. We got to manage stress. There's a lot going on. So at the end of the day, integrative, I think it's like a whole approach to beauty if we truly want to like look and feel our best.
What a great conversation. And if you're tired of Netflix and you want to be obsessed with something, check out the Philosophy live stream. Carolyn Walker does such a great job on that. I started watching it the other day and then I couldn't wait this morning to come in and it hit another episode and just watch it. So kudos to you, Caroline Walker from Philosophy. Thank you so much for joining us on Minutes with Mike. I really appreciate it.
And I love your podcast, I have to say. So I'm so excited to be here in your community. My husband has been wearing the T-shirt that you gave me. I want you to be like, dude, you still on my T-shirt. I got to get another one now.
I
love
it.
I love your podcast. And thanks for having me on. It's like such an honor and privilege to be here with you. You are the loveliest human. The first time we ever talked, I was like, we're on a Teams call, I think it was. I was like, this guy, no wonder he's the chief networking officer. You're fabulous. So
I really appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much.
again.
Bye, y'all.